friends, welcome to Carrie's Culinary Crafts, and welcome if you are new. I hope you'll stick around and you like what you see and consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Here on Carrie's Culinary Crafts, we talk all things food, and today I'm going to get started in restocking my proteins on my pantry shelf. I have, which I will show you a full brief of all the stuff that I have here, but I have 22 pounds, I believe, of butcher box, grass-fed, grass-finished, ground beef. And we are going to cook that up because I need to restock my shelves with taco meat and ground meat. And also because my son that's away at college, Tuesday, he will be on spring break. So he's going to be home for 2 weeks. And a couple of these I also want to cook up and freeze for him to take back to school with him when he goes back. So I'm going to be canning all that up, so stick around and let's can some meat together. Okay, lots of meat. I brought up from the deep freezer down there. Over here, this is all for dinners this week. My son that's at college, he starts his spring break on Tuesday. So he's going to be home for 2 weeks, and one of his favorite meals is filet mignon. So I am going to I have 6 fillets here, and then 2 ribeyes that I'm going to cook up for a dinner. I have some wild-caught Alaskan sockeye salmon. I'm going to be cooking that up. I got some chicken thighs here these are all from Butcher Box. And then I have lots of ground meat here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 22, 24, 20, 26 pounds of ground beef that I am going to can up because I am down to 1 can of taco meat and 1 can of regular ground beef. So I need to stock back up. I've got one of my canners out here. My other canner doesn't work on a glass top stove. So if I need another canner, I will be using my electric canner that I have today. So I have one on the stove and 1 electric canner. We'll see how much we need. I will be canning it in quart jars. That is what my family uses at any point in time. So the majority of this is going to be taco meat. I am going to pull out 2 pounds for my son and put them in bags and get them in the freezer, and those will be regular ground beef, but the rest of it I'm going to season it and make it taco meat. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have my big roaster here, so that way I can do all this meat all at once. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get these opened up, and I'm going to spray my roaster here with nonstick spray. Plus, I'm also going to put some olive oil in there. And we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to open up all of these meats and get them in there. I don't have this turned on yet. I will wait until I get all of my, well, you know what? I will get this start heating up. I just put it on 300 for right now. Now the majority of this meat is my butcher box meat, which is 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. I love getting my meat from butcher box, but I also have some meats over here. If you didn't know, Aldi is a really great place to buy organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. You can get it at a really, really good price there, especially when it's on sale. And the one day that I got these, I got 10 of these. Wait, 4, 8, 10. Yeah, I got 10 of these, and they were on sale for, I think, $4.99 a pound, and that was organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Great price. Echo, repeat that weather.
Currently, in Latrobe it's 28 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect snow flurries with a high of 35 degrees and a low of 27 degrees.
So it was just 70 the other day, and now they're talking possible snow flurries today. Any of you guys having this insane weather going back and forth between beautiful and cold? Ay, ay, ay. I told you guys how I love to buy the beef from Butcher Box when they have what is called the ground beef, the beef blast, where you can get 10 pounds of their ground meat at a really good price, a discounted price. And that is when I stock up on my ground meat. And that's where I got all of this. But for my next box, which will be delivered for April, they had another beef blast. So, and that is something that regardless whether I need it at that point in time or not, I grab it just because it is a great price. And it's usually like 10 pounds of ground meat for $50. Sometimes you get it a little bit, cheaper than that, for organic, grass-fed, grass-finished beef is a really great price. So I went ahead and added that to my cart for my April Butcher Box delivery. So I will have another beef canning session. I usually keep a couple pounds in the freezer, in case I want to cook it from, if I want to cook it fresh. But yeah, so that next one that I get, since I'm doing all of this taco meat, with the exception of 2 pounds for my son, is just regular. But the next batch I get, I will just do regular ground meat. apparently one of these is leaking. I'm gonna have to scrub my cutting board and countertops really good. All right, let me get my hands washed good here. Okay, so I have my 22 pounds of ground meat in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and mash it up with my meat masher. I love this meat masher tool. A definite kitchen tool. That I would suggest, especially if you do a lot of cooking from scratch, you know, with cooking a lot of ground meat. It's definitely a great tool to have. Okay, and then I have, where is it? I have some diced onions. I have my garlic pucks here. I have my giant spoon here. I got this from Williamsburg, and that was even before I started cooking big. I just absolutely loved the spoon. So I got it, not knowing if I'd ever need it, and now I use it all the time. All the time when I'm bulk cooking or, you know, doing projects like this. Okay. Now that this is all in there, I'm going to go ahead and kick this up to 350. And I am going to also put in some onions and garlic. And this is the last of my diced onions. I have half of a bag here. So it served me well throughout the year. Didn't have to buy any onions at all, except for the onions that I did purchase at the beginning of the pantry challenge before January started. So I have that much left, and I do have about half of onion slices left. Here is some garlic. I'm going to use that. And of course, that's not nearly enough garlic, so I'm going to put some of my garlic pucks in there as well. Okay. Oh, sorry, Flash. And I am going to heavily season with salt and pepper for right now. Now remember, this is 22 pounds of meat. So I am going to season it with quite a bit of salt and pepper. And I know that that's not nearly enough, but I'd rather undersalt it and add more salt later. And then have too much salt and having all of my meat. Oh, don't need that. silica pack in there. Okay. Looks like I'm gonna have to ground up some more peppercorns. And I'll leave this back here. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna put this lid on it, and then I'm gonna come over and give it a really good stir, like every 10 minutes, because you want to get all that meat from the bottom, because that bottom will be cooked and the sides will be cooked. I don't know what my kitty's meowing about out there. But yeah, so like every 10 minutes, I'm going to come out and stir this really good and until it is done and ready to get put into the can or the mason jars to go ahead and can it. So I'll bring you back in about 10 minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I went ahead and cleaned up all my dishes and emptied my dishwasher. So we're gonna go ahead and give this meat a little flip. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my lid back on, and I'll bring you back in another 10 minutes. Okay, it's been another 10 minutes. And you can see what a big difference this made. So 20 minutes we've been having this cooked, and it's coming along really good. I'll meet you back here in another 10 minutes, and meanwhile, this 10 minutes, I'll go ahead and start getting my mason jars ready. I put them through the dishwasher, so on the sanitize cycle. So I'll get those out. We want the jars hot to put hot foods in, and then I'll get, when this is done, I will start getting the canner heated up, because we want everything all the same temperature. If you have a big fluctuation in temperature when you're going to can, that is what results in broken jars. So I'm going to give this another 10 minutes, and I am going to get all of my canning stuff ready. Okay, we got another 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and give my meat a stir again. And you can see we're getting pretty close. There's still some red in there. Gave that a good stir. Now we'll go ahead and put the lid back on, and we will check it in another 10 minutes. We are at 30 minutes right now. So this works out good, because I've always wondered how long it took to brown a whole bunch of meat in there. I never really paid attention. So we'll find out together today. I'll see you back in 10 minutes. Okay, now my electric canner is ready. It has been 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out these jars. I have them in there with some water, heating up. I do the process that I need to do for this Presto electric canner. So, and now it's time to fill jars. It tells you what to do. So I am going to open this up, and I'm going to take out my jars one at a time and empty out the water that's in them. This heated up the jars to the proper temperature. And now I am going to fill up these jars. Now I have taco seasoning here, so I am going to put 1 scoop of taco seasoning in each jar. This is a 2 tablespoon scoop. And you can put the taco seasoning in with the meat if you want. I prefer to do it in the jar because of the fact that there's a lot of grease in there. So when you're putting the meat into the jars, you are draining out that grease before sticking them into the jars. So I'm going to put my canning lids on here, take off my lid, and as you can see, my meat after 40 minutes is done. There might be a little bit of pink in there, but you don't need to worry about it because we're canning this for 90 minutes. So it's going to finish that cooking process in the canner. So I'm going to go ahead and get my straining scoop. And fill up my jars. Okay, so you want to fill these up to 1 inch headspace. I can put just a wee little bit more in. Okay. Now here is where you want to go ahead and decide whether you want to add water or broth to these. Now these are the majority of the way cooked. There's a little bit of pink in there, so some juice is going to come out, so you can just can it that way. I like to add just a little bit of broth. 1, because I have tons of broth and I can do that. And 2, because of the fact that I majorly cooked this, it's not going to have as much juice coming out. So I want to put just a little bit of juice in there. Okay, so I have So I have a jar of beef broth here. And I'm going to just pour a little bit into each. Just so the jar is about halfway filled up, which is not much at all, as you can see. And then I'll use I have a wooden skewer here that I'll go ahead and debubble. Okay, I can still put a little bit more in that one. Once you add that liquid in there, kind of settles everything. Now I'm going to take a clean paper towel along with some white vinegar, and I am going to wipe this along the top of the jars, because you want to make sure that there's no grease on those jars that would prevent a seal from happening on your jars. So now we're going to put clean lids, new lids and rings on our jars and get them in the canner. Okay, lids and rings to finger tight, and I'm going to get those back in the canner. Okay, 3 more jars. One scoop taco seasoning in each. And I'm just going to put just a little bit of broth in there. If you put water or broth in first, it will alleviate some of the air bubbles. But we're still going to debubble it. Okay, now I'm going to put just going to follow what my canner says. It says to fill the jars, and then I'm going to put my lid on and locked. Press the button and the heat lights up, and then we're going to wait till this is going to come up to pressure, and it's going to do a steady steam for 10 minutes, and then it's going to beep whenever it's time for me to put the regulator on, and it will go ahead and can for 90 minutes. So we'll let that do its thing. And then we will turn around to our, now we'll go ahead and do my pressure canner that's on the stove. Okay, so I have my canner here. The water is heated up. I have my jars that are heated up from the sanitize cycle. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my ground beef. I've already put in the scoop of taco seasoning and a little bit of the broth. Okay, how many do I got? I got 5. My canner fits 7, so I am going to go ahead and make sure I fill up my canner. I need to get some more taco seasoning mix. Okay. And where's my taco spoon? Taco and a little bit of broth. Now since I only have one more jar, I'm not going to open up another broth. I'll just put some water in here and shake it around and use that. Now we will go ahead and fill the rest of those 2 jars. Now I'm going to go ahead and debubble these and add more meat if necessary. Okay, this water's boiling. I want to take that off. I don't want it quite boiling when I put in these jars. Take my vinegar, paper towel, wipe off all the rims. Make sure any grease is off of those. Now we're going to go ahead and put this in the canner. Alright, we got our canner full. I'm going to put my lid on. Lock it. And I'm going to kick this up. And once there's a steady stream of steam coming out of this nozzle here, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up, then I can put my weight on, and then I can set the timer for 90 minutes. These are quarts of ground beef. Even though they have been cooked the majority of the way through, you still need to can them for 90 minutes. So I'm going to wait for the steam to come up here. The electric canner is about ready. It's already counting down the time, so I have 5 minutes left on that, and I'll put the regulator on that. And then I will wait 10 minutes after the steam comes up from this, and I will put the regulator on and set the timer for 90 minutes. And I will be back at that point. Okay, my alarm is going off, my timer for the 10 minutes for this steady stream. So I am going to put on my regulator. And this is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes till it starts swiveling. Once it starts swiveling back and forth, that is when we are going to set the timer for 90 minutes. Okay, it took less than a minute and we started swiveling. You see how it's swiveling, and it's like, I always call it like a train because it sounds like choo choo choo, it sounds like a train. So now I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 90 minutes. And then when 90 minutes is done, I'll bring you back and we'll do the next step. Meanwhile, over here, I am weighing out the ground beef that I have left so I can put a pound in each of the bags. And it looks like I'm going to be like perfect, which is crazy, but funny. Okay, so there is 1 pound. 1 pound there and 1 pound here. So there is maybe a half a scoop left. So I am just going to divide it amongst the two. This is like the last of it. We got 1.4 ounces in this one. And 1.4 ounces in that one. Can't get any closer than that. Okay, so I'm just going to let these cool down, and then I have 2 bags here labeled where it says cooked ground meat. So my son will know that it's already cooked. Okay, I cleaned my canning funnel really good because it had grease from the ground beef. I need to go ahead and refill my taco jar. This is the backup stock that I keep. So I need to refill. Whoops. And you know what this means? This is my back stock, which is now empty. So all I have left of taco seasoning is this amount. So in the next month or so, I'm going to have to go ahead and make up a whole bunch of some of my homemade DIY toppings. Okay, my timer is going off for my taco meat that I have canned in here. So I went ahead and turned it off, and I'm going to slide it off of the burner. And I'm going to let this cool down and come completely down to pressure, 0 pressure, in order to take off the regulator and to open it up. And my electric canner is also done. You can see down here, it is on the cool setting where it is coming down to pressure. And it'll take probably like an hour and a half for it to completely cool down, and we'll be able to open up the canner lid. Okay, now all the pressure has come down in my pressure canner. I'm going to take this off, and there shouldn't be any steam. If there's steam coming out, then that means that there's still pressure in there. But I pull it off and no steam is coming out, and my canner is unlocked. If there were still pressure in there, the canner would be locked and you wouldn't be able to lift the lid. So now I'm going to lift the lid, and I'm going to lift it away from the face. So no steam will come out and burn the face. So I'm lifting it this way. I have to admit, I'm kind of worried about these cans in here, because it sounded like something broke and sounded like broken glass, but I'm looking at all of my jars and they all looked intact. Maybe it was just the jars hitting each other. But I am going to let this cool down for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I will pull them out and put them on one of these dish pads. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and remove my jars and put them on my dish pad over here. I'm going to lift them up carefully just in case if one of these jars is broke. You see them bubbling and boiling. See that? And you can see that there's a pop. Love that pop sound when the jars are sealing. So there was no broken jars, but there is barely any liquid on the bottom there. Okay, so I'm going to let this canner's still hot. I'm going to let it cool down. These I'm going to let sit there until tomorrow. And tomorrow I will check the seals to make sure that they sealed. If there is one that does not seal, then I will just put that in the refrigerator and we will use that within the next week. So that is my pressure canner. I am still waiting on the electric canner to completely cool down. It'll beep and let me know when it's totally done. So when that is done, I will add those jars over here, and then I will let them sit on my counter until tomorrow, and then I will clean them, check the seals, and write on the lids what they are. Okay, our canner beeped, our vent is dropped, so we can unlock the lid, open away from your face, just in case if anything happens, your face is protected. Nice bubbly taco meat. We will set over here. Okay, and there is our 12 quarts of taco meat that is now canned and shelf stable. As long as they all seal, I will check them tomorrow. I'm going to leave them there overnight, and We'll check the seals tomorrow. We'll clean up the jars. We'll put taco meat on them and the date, and then we will put them in our cabinet. And we have shelf-stable taco meat. Hi friends, I am back 2 days later after I canned up the taco meat. Now yesterday I didn't have time to get to it, but I was able to go through and check all the seals to see if any did not seal so I can get them in the refrigerator. And there, I actually did have 2 that did not seal. Unfortunately, I'm trying to use up some older canning lids that I have, and they were not really good canning lids. I mean, they weren't your ball and they weren't your 4 jars. But I'm trying to use them up in order to get them out of my house, and I have noticed that with them, there's always 1 or 2 that does not seal. So that kind of goes to show, make sure that you use a reputable company whenever you are canning. They may be a little bit more expensive, but they're going to seal, and it's going to be worth it for you to have put the stuff on your shelf. Because if you don't notice it and put it on your shelf and that seal pops, then you're going to have, you could have a bacteria issue. So because I noticed them right away, that was the first thing I did yesterday whenever I woke up, was I checked all the seals and found 2 that did not seal. I stuck them in my refrigerator. So I need to use those up, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those in a bit. But for now, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 quarts here, and I'm going to go ahead and clean them off. Now, they all need cleaned off because this was a greasy product, and you'll feel it on the jar. It just feels greasy. So I am going to clean my jars really good. I'm going to spray them with this and use a rag and wipe them off really good. And then I will go ahead and mark on them what they are and the date, and I can get them on my shelf and start stocking up all of my proteins again. Okay, so they're all cleaned. And now I can use my Sharpie and put on them what they are. And I'm going to say taco meat. And then it's going to be 3/24 for March 24. Just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them and then get them stocked in my cabinet. Okay, now I pulled this one out because this is the oldest one I have. I canned this taco meat 9/23. So I want this one to be out front, so I use this first. Okay, so as you can see up on the top shelf, I still have room. With my next Butcher Box order, I got another Beef Blast order in there. So I will be canning up some more taco meat so I can fill up that shelf. Now the shelf, it can fit 3 deep and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 wide. So that's 21 quarts of taco meat that I can fill on that top shelf. So hopefully I will get to that soon. But for now, that is it for this taco canning video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you are interested in this type of content, or know somebody that is interested in this type of content, like tutorials on how to can things and preserve things, whether it be dehydrate, freeze, or can, I do all of that on my channel. Please share this video with them so they know that I do that type of content. And please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed what you saw. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.